I want to give you a perspective on something that maybe you haven't thought about. And more so, possibly a misperception about this idea could have been holding you back from a lot of things all this time. So instead of fluffing around about it, let me just dive right into it. One thing that I have really seen over the course of my life, and I've specifically seen it in entrepreneurship, real estate investing, general life things, but they really stand out in those arenas, is this idea of your return on something maybe not being a direct return. Instead, maybe being an indirect return. Abstract thought, you have no idea what I'm talking about. Let's dive in. Here's what I mean. How often have you had an opportunity to invest in something? And this might be a monetary investment, it might be an emotional investment, it might be a mental investment, time investment, whatever. You have an opportunity to invest in something and you hold off because you don't know if that investment's going to be worth it. Let's say on the emotional investment, you try out a new relationship and it's like, I don't really want to do that because what if I spend 2 years with this person and it's a total wash, waste of my time and emotions and whatever else. Bringing it back more to the business side, let's think about money investments because I think this paints a more clear picture about it. And some examples I'm going to give you are going to maybe, well, again, more clear on the money side because it's just easier to kind of visualize the numbers. Let's say you invest $50,000 into a year-long course that is going to give you a certain certification, and that should give you the ability to basically be successful through the rest of your life. Maybe it's a professional certification, maybe it's a college degree, maybe it's whatever. And fast forward, you spend the $50,000 and the time and effort to do it all, and that thing that you were assuming would be on the other end of it doesn't show up. Is it a loss? Answer, maybe not. I was about to say no, but there are some circumstances. It kind of depends on how you go about this. So I'm a huge fan of a concept that I did not create, but I call or refer to as a learning approach to life. And if you take this approach, which means no matter what happens in life, you use it as a learning opportunity, then the answer is no, that investment is not a waste of time, whether it's the emotional investment, the money investment, mental investment, time investment, whatever. Because when you take a learning approach to life, you look back and you take everything you can from that experience and apply it forward, apply it into something new, to something different, to something, even if not overly different, to something different than maybe what you were planning. So let's talk about that. I'm going to give you some examples from my life because we're going to circle back on this because I'm still kind of talking in slightly abstract terms. I'm in real estate investing, and the very first intentional investment, I had an accidental investment. The very first intentional investment that I ever made, I lost $40,000. That's a lot of money, especially for a brand new investor. And a lot of people in real estate investing, if they lose money at any point, but especially on their first one, it's going to completely taint them from the industry and they're not going to want to go forward. And it's going to feel like this big like world explosion that they just lost all this money. Kind of a sidebar about that. Don't invest money that you can't afford to lose. You've probably heard that phrase, but it's for real. So yeah, $40,000 was a huge hit, but that was about 9 years ago now. And when I made that investment, so I put that money in expecting two particular properties to come out of that. I bought these two properties. They were down payments for two specific properties. One was a beachfront bungalow and one was a home site to build on. Those were the direct results that I was expecting by paying $40,000. Those properties never happened. However, some other things did happen. When I made that investment, I was working a corporate job. I was trying to find my way out of corporate, but I was really just doing this investing as like a smart side thing for my money. Wasn't expecting that real estate investing was going to get me out of my corporate job. I was just doing this. So I had other stuff going on. So I put the 40,000 in, and what that did, that $40,000 investment got me the following. It was my first time into meeting other real estate investors, to really diving into that industry. Through meeting those investors, I got acquainted with what ended up being the strategy that I would be most successful with, turnkey rental properties. I started buying turnkey rental properties for myself, which have all been very successful. Out of that experience, I ended up creating my own company and literally getting out of my corporate job because my company is based on turnkey rental properties. Well, let's rewind that. I found out about turnkey rental properties from the people that I met through the investment project that I spent the $40,000 on. Also, this project, don't judge me, was in Nicaragua. Yes, the third world country, which I love. And amidst all of this, I went to Nicaragua fully paid 5 times. Hello, like staying in nice places, beautiful beaches, everything. So I had 5 fully paid trips to Nicaragua. I ended up investing in several properties that have become very profitable over the years. I ended up starting my own company based on these turnkey rental properties. And all these 9 years I've been in business, I've been making money off of that. So let's focus on what that did. $40,000. I did not get the 2 properties I was trying to buy. I did, however, get a new career, a new life that I enjoy much more than when I was working a corporate job, new friends, 5 fully paid trips to Nicaragua. I recently put out a book. That book never would have happened had all those other things never happened. So, do you see where I'm going with this? $40,000 did not give me the 2 properties. However, it got me well more than $40,000 worth of everything. I've made more than $40,000 in my business. I got the fully paid trips to Nicaragua. I have a book out now. Every penny that I've made recently in the last 8, 9 years with real estate is because that investment opened up that door. So, learning approach to life. That is what you look at from a learning approach to life perspective. I'm looking back at that $40,000 and I have the option to see that as a $40,000 loss, 100%. Or I could take the learning approach, which first step is to really see what that got me. The other thing is to get what I can out of that experience. What did I learn from that experience? What did I learn from losing that money? That's where the real learning part comes in. The other stuff, it's kind of a reframe. It's not technically the learning approach, but what did I learn from all of that? What I learned and what I got from that experience has paid me way more, tenfold, than $40,000. It's a perspective change. So that is the picture I'm trying to paint here, is that it's not always about the direct result that you get from the investment you make, but it may possibly be the indirect result that not only is worth way more than you put into it, but is way better. So another couple examples. So that's kind of my more detailed example. So you can see the perspective using money because it's less of an abstract type of thing. Here's another example. In 2015, I was on a makeover show. I was the one getting made over, and it's on Amazon Prime. I'll put a link in the notes to it. It was a great experience, and the whole idea is they wanted to help me dress better, because if you've watched many of my videos, you've probably seen a grand total of maybe 4 shirts, because that's basically what I have. So I go through this whole experience of being on the makeover show. It was super fun, super exhausting, just wild experience. Never had that many cameras on me, anything. That show did not fix my wardrobe problem. Did not. So, of course, it was fun to be on TV and all that kind of stuff, but I was actually very genuinely attached to them helping me with my fashion problem, if you want to call it that. So when that didn't happen, I was actually pretty let down because I had kind of hung on to that pretty tightly. But what it did was it changed how I thought about clothes and how to wear clothes, and like it changed kind of my mindset a little bit. And I think it was less than 6 months later, I ended up going to a store. They have people to help you get dressed, but like help you find clothes and whatever. And I walked out of there with basically a new wardrobe because I had changed the mindset through the show. And then it all kind of came into fruition later. So again, I went on the show hoping they would fix me and give me a new wardrobe, fashion kind of whatever. Didn't happen there, but what I got from it eventually led to something better. Most recently, and this is why this is all in my head, anyways, I started going to a nutritionist. God bless COVID and lounging around with a few White Claws here and there. I wanted to lose a little weight. So I go to this nutritionist for 4 months. I spent a decent chunk of money and I lost 0 pounds. I put a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of strain because I was having to follow a diet, and of course, a lot of money into this investment. And I got nothing out of it. I didn't even lose an ounce. So this is what got me thinking. It's like, wait a minute. Again, it's not always the direct result. It's like, what did I get from that whole experience? And I'll tell you, I learned a lot through going to him. I learned a lot about not only just how my body operates, but how it kind of almost connects to my brain and how they kind of have to jive together. And I learned what doesn't work for me. I learned other things to look at. I learned, it opened my eyes to nutrition and to eating and to all sorts of different things that now that I'm on my own, I can kind of, tweak and mold how I want to. And I have no doubt that that's not going to open up a ton of doors for me later. It's a ripple effect. When you stop looking at just whether or not you got the direct result out of something, and instead look at what doors it opens up for you and that ripple effect, everything for you can change. One last example that I hear people talk about all the time. I'm a corporate dropout. I went to school, I got a master's degree, I got the really secure job, the whole thing that we're all supposed to do. And I left that job. I had been in school for like 8 years in this industry, aerospace engineering. So it's not even like a generic industry, it's a very specific industry. And so I left it for real estate. And a lot of people who are thinking of getting out of corporate or thinking of getting out of their job, or they've just gotten out of college and they got a degree in something, those people who are all thinking or pondering of a different move, a lot of people are hesitant thinking, oh, but I have all this student loan debt now. I just spent 4, 5, 6, 10 years of my life going to school for this thing, or I've been at this company for 20 years. How could I leave now? And a lot of people don't look at that perspective of it's not a direct result. Yeah, I went and got a master's degree in aerospace engineering. That should have led me to a lifelong career of a job in aerospace engineering. I made it 5 years. When I left aerospace engineering after 5 years, does that mean that whole time was lost? All of that tuition was lost? All of that time and effort and everything else was lost? No. I got so much out of that. I can still make a mean spreadsheet for starters. But, I'm in real estate investing, and as an entrepreneur, some of the biggest traits and skills that you have to have for that: problem solving, looking at the big picture, I was supposed to say disinfecting. You can tell I'm coming out of 2020. What word? Oh, dissecting. I was thinking disinfecting. Dissecting different puzzle pieces, being able to look into certain things. And then as an entrepreneur, I'm so grateful that I had the corporate experience, because that has made a big difference in how I structure my business and how I understand a lot of big concepts. So yeah, I could totally see all of it as a total loss if I wanted to, or I could see the actual value in those 8 years in school, 5 years in the industry, and then walking out. It's 100% not a lost cause. So again, learning approach to life. If you take that, first of all, it means there's no such thing as failure, because if you trip up somewhere, you just look back, learn what you can, and move forward. That's the best way. There's so much good in that. It's going to make you happier. It's going to propel you forward. And if there's this idea of no such thing as failure, hello, that's fantastic. Also, when you realize that you take away that pressure of needing that direct result to happen, then you're probably going to be more apt to try different things. So going back to real estate investing, let's say that $50,000 I was talking about investing in course, let's say it's a course on how to be a successful house flipper. You go through it for a year, you go through all the effort, the time, $50,000, and you don't become a successful house flipper. Is it a loss? Not if you don't let it. So again, I will say, and I will make this claim actually, I think my absolute biggest successes have come from the ripple effect from the things that I invested instead of what I thought the direct result would be from the investment. Sure, I've made some investments, whether emotional, mental, money, whatever, that I have gotten the direct result. But every time that there was a very specific direct result that I thought I was going to get and I didn't, even if it hurt in that moment, when I just kind of stuck with it, the ripple effect ended up giving me my investment back tenfold, 100-fold. So again, concept, make an investment. You can get the direct result that you think you're going to get, or if you don't, keep an eye out for those indirect results. What is that thing going to lead you to? What's it going to open you up to? And be open to those things as possibilities for starters, because you could just quit and be like, ugh, I didn't become a successful house flipper. I'm done. Screw real estate. You could do that, or take the experience and let that carry you forward. You have no idea how much your life could change for the better when you don't hang on to the need for the direct result to happen, but instead learn from it and roll with the ripple effect. And you might be kind of surprised at what you come up with.